Compressing sounds for export is a lot like compressing bitmap images. It's all about finding a balance between quality and file size. We also find the compression settings in the same places. We have individual sound settings in the Sound Properties dialog that we opened from the Library panel, and we then have global settings in the Publish Settings dialog that we get to from the File menu. Some of the same principles apply for individual and global settings as well. We can use one setting to override others, but there are some differences. Stream sounds are compressed a little differently than event sounds. No matter what settings we make for an individual stream sound, all the stream sounds in the document will be exported as one single stream using the highest quality setting you've applied for any of the stream sounds. And the same thing applies to the soundtracks in our imported video. They're treated as stream sounds as well. Okay, let's start by going to the sound properties for our sound clip and seeing what we can do. Double-click on the icon in the library. First off, we have device sound. Device sound is used when we export from mobile devices to use the sounds contained in the device itself. Then we see a checkbox that says Use Imported MP3 Quality. This will only be displayed when we import an MP3 file that's already been compressed. If we import, say, a WAV file or anything uncompressed, it won't be here. It simply lets us use the compression that was already applied to the file before we imported it. For this lesson, uncheck this box, because if we do, we can customize the compression applied to the sound. Now you'll see the compression options available at the bottom. Before we cover those, though, look in the drop-down list labeled Compression. We're going to end this lesson with the default option, and in the next lesson we'll cover the rest of them. So select Default now. All of our compression options are gone, and this is because this option works just like the Use Document Default Quality option that we saw in the Bitmap Properties dialog. When we choose this option, the compression settings are taken from the global settings that we make in the Publish Settings dialog. So let's go look at those settings now. Close this and choose File and Publish Settings from the menu. Under the Flash tab at the top, just below the global image settings are the audio settings. This time we have two of them, one for stream sounds and one for event sounds. Click this Set button to make our choices. Our choices here look suspiciously like the ones we just saw in the Sound Properties dialog we got to from the library, and that's because they're the same. The only difference is that these are global instead of being specific to one single sound. Now, as I mentioned, we're going to look at the nuts and bolts of sound compression in the next lesson. So let's end this one by closing this dialog and looking just below our sound settings in the Flash tab. We have a checkbox labeled Override Sound Settings. This will override every sound compression setting for each sound in your library and force them to use the global settings we set here. This can be useful if you want to temporarily export a local copy of your document with all sounds forced to a certain compression setting. And that's it for now. Let's move on to the next lesson.